Today I am going to show you how to make these adorable mini peach pies in muffin tins. These just came out of the oven. The whole kitchen smells so good. They're really cute, and I'm going to show you a quick hack for making a pretty lattice top, but you can also go with a solid top if you want to, if you don't want to get fancy. But the nice thing about these is you don't even have to make a whole dozen. So the regular recipe for a dozen takes a 2 pie crust recipe plus as much filling as you would use for a regular pie, but maybe you only have a little bit of fruit, or maybe you only have a little bit of pie crust. You can make as few or as many as you want. You can even put them in these little 6 cupcake trays, get like a fancy gold one like this, put a ribbon on it. Super nice gift idea for a elderly neighbor or relative or shut-in, someone who doesn't have anyone for the holidays. Or you can make a really fun dessert sampler, 6 different types of pies, and put them in these for people to enjoy. So anyway, fun recipe, and today we're gonna make mini peach pies. Just gonna put that over there to cool, and we're gonna get started. I'm going to tilt the camera down because it's sort of all about technique, so I wanna show you what I'm doing as we go along. So let me see. There should be good. Maybe I'll do it a little bit down more. When you're a one-person show and you only got one camera, you gotta improvise. Okay, so here we go. So to get started, I've got my muffin tin. I do like to grease or butter each of the little compartments so your pies don't stick, so you can use the butter wrapper for that, and just get those all greased. And of course I forgot to take my crust out of the fridge, so let me do that. It's pretty warm today, and the kitchen is warm, and this dough, since it has so much butter in it, it does warm up pretty quickly, so I like to keep it chilled until I'm ready to use it. You can use a store-bought dough, a homemade dough, any kind of pie crust for a 2 crust pie is what you want to use for this recipe. So first I'm going to get my bottom crusts ready to go. So here's a little hack. Save a spice or another kind of shaker container with the little holes, and then keep your flour in it. Makes it super easy to flour your cutting board and your rolling pin and all that. So that's just a little trick that I use. So rolling out the bottom crust is pretty straightforward. You're going to want to just roll them out to a regular pie crust thickness, and then I've got a 4-inch cookie cutter, 3.5, 4-inch, something like that. You can use a glass, a small bowl, just something that's going to give you that circle. Oh, the kitchen is really, really warm. The dough is already starting to warm up. We have had a warm summer. All right, so then you're gonna cut out your circle, your dough circle, and then we're just gonna set it into one of the compartments. Obviously, I'm not gonna do all 12 of them and make you sit here through that whole thing. I'll do a couple. You want to be pretty liberal with the flour if your dough is sticking. But again, you can use store-bought pie crust. You don't have to make your dough. On my blog, I do have a really great dough recipe. If you search peach pie, I use the same dough recipe for mini pies or regular size pies. So we're just gonna put that one in, the next one, and you just go along and do your 12 mini pies. The nice thing is that this recipe does convert. So if you have a recipe for a 2 crust pie crust and filling for a regular pie, you're going to get a dozen mini pies out of it. But you can scale it down, you know, as I mentioned earlier. All right, so we'll do the 3 so I can show you. So we've got our 3 bottom crusts done. So next we are going to make our filling. So we've got some peaches. You're probably going to need, I'd say 3 to 4 peaches, depending on how big they are. And then I'm going to cut them into a little bit smaller pieces than I might for a regular pie, since, you know, this is a mini pie, so you don't want to just get one chunk of peach in your pie. We're just going to sort of small dice your peaches. Again, you know, this is a fairly small peach, but I'd say 3 or 4 peaches are probably what you're gonna need for a dozen mini pies. And of course I save the pits, and I am a little generous with what I leave on the pit because I give them to the chickens. They're gonna like some cool peach pits. And they don't eat the pits, they eat the flesh around the pits. But they will clean it off. You don't have to be super exact. I mean, we do want them sort of all the same size, but unlike apples, say, that really need to cook because they're hard, you know, peaches are soft. So if you have, a few chunks a little bigger, it's not like they're not going to get cooked through. All right, so we've got our 3 peaches. Then I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, probably maybe like a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and about a 1/4 cup of flour, and then some cornstarch, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch maybe. I'm only going to add 1 since it's really only a half recipe, since I already made half of them in advance. And then you're just going to stir that up so all your peaches are covered. Then I'm going to add some almond extract. It goes a really long way. Almond extract is a lot stronger than vanilla extract, so maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. I really do love the flavor of almond in a peach pie though. All right, so our filling is mixed, and then we're just gonna come over here and we're going to fill each of our bottom crusts with the filling. They are gonna sink a little, so you can sort of dome the filling up a little bit. So there's our 3 pies that we're doing. Now for the top crust, I have something that I want to show you. So we're gonna flour our board really well. So to make a lattice crust for a mini pie, it's it can be kind of labor intensive. It is going to be a little bit more difficult than just making a solid top crust, which you absolutely can do. You don't have to make the lattice crust, but if you want to, it's kind of fun. Again, my dough is warming up really fast. So you want to roll roughly a squarish type, square rectangle type shape. And then use one of these, or just use a regular knife. You're gonna want to kind of square it off so it's a nice even square or rectangle. And then what I'm going to do is cut it into maybe 1/2-inch strips, about as even as possible. Okay, then what I want to do, and hopefully it's about 4 inches across, like half of it is 4 inches. I didn't quite make it wide enough, but I can fix that later. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick up half of my slices. I'm going to leave these here, and then I'm going to pull back every other one at the middle, and then lay a strip, and then pull back the opposites, lay a strip, pull back the opposites, use that little one, and then starting at the other, you know, from the middle going the other way, if our dough doesn't stick to the board, I'm going to lay down, a strip, And then hopefully your dough won't stick as badly as mine is, and lay down your other strip. So now you can see, whoops, I've got sort of a lattice weave going here. Then I'm going to take my same cutter and I'm just going to cut that, remove all the scraps, and then with my spatula, get my back, I'm just going to lay it on top of my peaches. And we've got this beautiful, beautiful lattice top for a pie. So you're just going to repeat that, cutting out the scraps, re-rolling, recutting, and making your little 4-inch grids, a little bigger than 4 inches, and cover all your peaches with the crust. And then when you're done, I've got an egg white here that I whisked, and I am just going to brush it with a little egg white. I do all of them, and then I'm going to pop them in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, until they're nicely browned and, you know, bubbly. Take them out and your pies are done. So I'm going to lift you up again a little bit here. So again, mini pies with either the lattice crust, or you can do a solid crust. Just make sure you poke some vent holes in it so the steam can escape. But you've got your beautiful, I can't take them out yet because they're still hot. You've got your beautiful little lattice-topped mini crust, using my hacks for making the mini top. So I hope you'll try these. I'm going to attach to my regular peach pie recipe that can be easily adapted to make these mini pies. It's all the same ingredients, same amounts. You're just going to roll out the dough and put it into your muffin tins instead. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and check out the Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook for all kinds of egg recipes, sweet and savory. Also my YouTube and blog, fresheggsdaily.com.